Dr. Christian Stapleton. Thank you.
My name is Christian Stapleton. I'm at 109B Daniel Court in Bartlett, and I've been here for 21 years. I didn't bring papers here to talk today, but I just want to tell you a few of my feelings. I, like several of us here, have been at the Coffee for the Mayor, and I've never been involved in Bartlett, never really cared that much until we had Mike Kelly. And all of a sudden, I thought maybe, we're going to have a really good town. So I've gone and I've sat with some of you trustees, thought you were nice, seemed nice, and however, when I listened to the tape on the 15th, very disappointed and actually ashamed. And I've never been ashamed of Bartlett in my life until now. But this is not right. You've hurt me. You've hurt a lot of these people out here that aren't saying anything. A lot of them are crying because they want Mike Kelly back. The seniors are upset. This should not have happened in here. This should have happened behind the scenes. It was uncalled for. This man was the best thing that ever happened to Bartlett in the last time. So I think you should think about that. And when you're thinking about having somebody up here to represent him until 2013, I think it's going to be T.L. Ahrens or everyone's going to hate you. It's my thought.
Sally Sanford.
Hi, my name is Sally Sanford. I live at 157C Peter Court. I too came to coffee with the mayor. He made us feel like we were important. He made us feel like he did listen to our problems, and he took care of many things. And it hurts us. We've sat next to you, and we've sat next to you also. It hurts us to know that he was treated this way. I was raised to treat people the way we would want to be treated ourselves. No one is perfect. We're not here to talk about taxes, who was late, who was not, whatever. This is not even about that. It was the way he was treated. It was the way he was humiliated. We felt sorry for him. We ran around town. We wrote letters to the Herald. I've written a letter to the Village. I am at a loss for words. I just don't understand how this kind of thing could happen. We had a good thing going, and things were going. Things were getting done. Neighborhoods were getting cleaned up. Flooding was getting fixed. People were working together. People were interested in politics. And right now I'm not. And it's sad. Thank you for listening.
Sanford.
My wife's done everything for me. Thank you.
Rick Newton.
Good evening. My name is Rick Newton. I live at 31W636 Nancy Lane in Wayne. So no, I'm not a Bartlett resident, but I've been a part of this community for a long time. And I have two boys who've gone to high school and enjoyed a great time at Bartlett High School. I have coached in this area in Bartlett for 18 years. I have led the Silverhawks for 9 years until the last couple months. So I know a lot about Bartlett. I'm very familiar with Mike Kelly. I worked very close with him quite often and have nothing but good things to say about him. He is a gentleman. I understand, even though I couldn't vote, I would have voted if I could. I understand why this community voted 4-1. That's unheard of. And that says a lot about the person. And I want to echo some earlier comments that were said about the behavior of this board. And first, let me just say, TL, thank you for what you did at that meeting. You had the courage to do what was right and say it was right, and you recognized it. You don't have to necessarily agree with the person and everything that they stand for, but somebody talked about decorum and civility tonight when you started. I was absent. I listened to that tape 5 or 6 times. But I want to give you an example. example, so it just doesn't sound like rhetoric on my part. I had this letter in the paper last week, but I want to share it to make sure it goes on the record, and it has to do with Eric Shipman. Mr. Shipman and Mr. Martin both used the term image. It was all about image. Said it several times, it's all about image. Well, there was a meeting of the Wayne Township Republicans back in September, and at that meeting, the question was asked of a relatively drunken state representative who registered 2.04 on the blood alcohol level as to what he was thinking when he went out and got intoxicated in such a way as a leader in the community. And no more had that question gotten out than there was a chorus of 7, 8, 9 people that were yelling out, it's personal, leave him alone. And you know who was among that chorus? That was Eric Shipman. And who was not in the chorus that was saying anything about image? It was not Eric Shipman. So we have an example here where somebody, and I don't think, we don't know about the question of legality. I don't think you guys couldn't figure that out in the meeting. But I don't see it as being an ethical question. I don't see it as being a moral question. But for a question of somebody being late on their taxes, we put this man through living hell. Well, you put this man through living hell. But a man who's driving drunk in a town, a man who's a township chairman for the Republican Party, the county chairman for the Republican Party, a state representative, and a supposed candidate for state senator, and we don't ask about image. And if anybody wonders why, I'll be happy to talk to you after the meeting, but it has something to do with friendship. And so it's not about image, it's all about hypocrisy. And I think that this board has really done a lot of damage to the image of this. It's not to the residents of this town, they're great people in this town, but as a group body of people that are supposed to be representing this town as public servants, you did as a whole a great injustice.
In Carpentersville, Illinois. I did used to reside here at Bartlett, and I believe that was the reason why I left, was all this political stuff. And I'll tell you, Mike Kelly is a wonderful man. He was run out of town, and I think it's horrible. It is a disservice to you, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Everybody who stood up like that, like a child, fighting over something nonsensical. Now, I'll tell you, this man, if the reporter had done her homework and did a little background check on him and realized that this man has done things pro bono. I mean, I had my mother who lives in Chicago. There's millions of attorneys down there, and she's come out here, 80-something years old, coming on a train to go and talk to him. Had the open door policy, never shooed her away, said make an appointment. No, she came over there in her little bag, little old lady stooped over, getting off the train, walking over there to go and ask him a question. Now that says a lot for him. He's a remarkable human being, he's a wonderful man, he's got a big heart, and maybe he makes so much time for everybody else, that's why he was late in his taxes. But I don't think that's very important. I think he's a wonderful man, and he kind of reminds me of George Bailey in A Wonderful Life. You know, he's been so influential in helping this community and everybody around here, not only Streamwood, Bartlett, Hanover Park, he's helped people even in Chicago. I know people who've come out here, all the way from Chicago, just to talk to him and get his advice. So he definitely is an asset to your community, and I think it would be a shame to let this man go. You're losing your George Bailey, and it's a shame. I think you should admire this man and give him all the respect he needs, he deserves, and he should have had that when he was here. I'm very, very sorry for you, and I totally am demoralized by the way he's been treated. Thank you.
My name is Carol Harrington. I live at 757 Braintree Lane in Bartlett. I've been a resident here for 23 years. I was shocked when I heard what happened here. I'm a retired teacher, and what happened with this board, as far as I'm concerned, was not respectful, as was asked of us at the beginning of this meeting. This, to me, was a beautiful example of bullying that I have taught against in my classroom for all the years that I was a teacher, and I'm still, of course, against bullying, even though I'm retired. In my book, late taxes, which are paid with a penalty, is not a crime. He not only paid his taxes, but he paid the village more money because he paid you a penalty. Great, we have more money. I saw Mike Kelly in action. I saw him around the town. I saw him listen to us. I've been here to several meetings. He really, really cared about us. He really cares about us. I think if we had another election today, Mike Kelly would be elected overwhelmingly again, in spite of the fact that his taxes were late. I too am ashamed. Ashamed of what happened here to Mike Kelly. And I can tell you right now, if you were in my classroom, your behavior never would have been tolerated by me.
Hi,
girl.
My name is Cheryl Brissett. I've lived in Bartlett 23 years. I live at 880 Kingston Lane in Bartlett. I'm sorry, I'm so upset about this whole thing. Mike was the most fantastic president we could ever have. He listened to everything we had to say about Beaver Pond. I came to a lot of board meetings in the last 2 years. And 4 of you are the biggest bullies I've ever seen in my entire life. I witnessed at board meetings Mike say hello to some of you, and you pushed him off. You gave him a cold shoulder. I witnessed that myself, and I couldn't believe it when I witnessed some of your behaviors to him as a person before board meetings. And I thought to myself, that's strange. And after listening to the minutes, I'm appalled. My son was working to be an Eagle Scout, and when he came home when I played it, he said, who are these people? Who are these bullies? How can somebody be this way in public office? Everybody should resign from this board except for TL. She's the only one that has any decency. I've never been so ashamed of a group of people that are supposed to be representing us as people of this town. And as far as I'm concerned, all of you should resign except for TL and beg for Mike Kelly to come back to serve. Because I don't want some shame in this town. Mike took time out of his schedule, his personal time, that he took away from his family, his business, and everything else, to talk to anybody in this town if you have an issue. And not just a 2-minute and blow you off. He would take time to listen to what you had to say.